All right. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Guess who's back? How's everybody doing? Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I certainly did. And we got some people in the house. Carmela Valenzano, how are you? Marvin Atkins from Pittsburgh, how you doing? Connie Lockridge, how are you? Real Brooklyn, the real Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn. I was born and raised in Brooklyn. Yeah. If you're from the real Brooklyn, born and raised in East New York. My goodness. Okay. Indeed, I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Majestic 716 is in the house. Shanny 48 is in the house. Hopefully, we'll have a couple of mods or at least one to come in for tonight. But you know how my chat room works. We don't have too much drama, and we will have a few trolls from time to time, but they really don't bother me. Obviously, anybody who's been following me knows that. But much love to everyone. Wanted to come back to you and share a couple of items and some thoughts with you about what I've been looking at and kind of touch base with you. I know that the Kenneka Jenkins case is still alive on YouTube for those that have been investigating this case. You know who you are. And it's good to know that we still have some veterans on the case as well as some new people that I had seen jump on board to give their support and contributions to their findings of the case. Much love goes out to them for joining this team that we've had working on the case and showing their support. Watch out, squad. What's up, brother? Content creator. He's still on the case. That's a veteran. Donna Johnson, how are you? H Town. Shell, how are you? Majestic 716 is in Buffalo, New York. Okay, we got some people here from New York. How you doing, Lorraine? Much love to you. Welcome. BBK is in the house. Much love to BBK, and there goes one of my moderators. Hopefully, you can stick around, Miss BBK. I know it's a different time zone where you are, but your company is always loved and needed when it comes down for me to come on. I don't come on all the time. Everybody knows that. In fact, I get more requests for me to come on more. But, having a family life and keeping busy and staying focused amongst the things that we have to deal with on a day to day basis, and that's just not here in New York, it's all over the country, obviously, for those that are still um, obviously under wraps with what's been going on lately concerning the political arena as well as the COVID situation. But hopefully, it's good to know that everybody's keeping safe, staying well, staying vigilant. It's going to get interesting over the next couple of weeks when we haven't seen nothing yet. But tonight, I wanted to give my focus to the one case that I've been dedicated to giving my focus to, and that is to the Kenneka Jenkins case. And anyone that has been following me on this case and has taken a look at my work knows that we've laid down a good foundation, as much of it as we could on this case. And we're still laying more and more foundation as we go forward. Special shout out to those content creators that are still working, still giving, still sharing. We've got a number of them out there that is relentless. Staying focused is the key. Staying focused and staying real is the key, because that's what it's about. That's exactly what it's about. because it takes true focus and integrity to stay on a case like this. And the ones that are truly focused and that have integrity, I'm going to give major shout outs tonight. Major shout outs to those that are still working on this case. So you'll hear, you're around. Much love to everyone. Hey, lovely. How you doing? So tonight I wanted to jump on 45. See, Pete, I see you in the chat room. And thank you, Ms. BBK, for moderating tonight. We're going to keep the house nice and straight. Like I said, we don't have too much nonsense going on in here. That's why I love a small channel. We don't need anything big and ferocious and out of kilter and all kinds of stuff. That's why I love a small channel, and I'm very blessed to have the number of subscribers that support my channel as much as the word that gets out about my work, and new people find out who John Q is, how long he's been around, what's he talking about. And so we try to stay on board, we try to stay on point, focused with integrity. And that's what tonight's live is really all about, because that's what it takes to stay on a case like this. All right, I'm just reading a few comments in the chat. Your audience are pretty good people and very respectful to your channel. I appreciate that. Thank you, Miss BBK. They are. They are. Only the real ones come in. The real true truth seekers in this case come into this chat room. The rest of them go elsewhere. If they need entertainment, well, obviously you know where to go. There is and are entertainment channels out here that supposedly tried to tell what happened to Kenneka, but evidently show poor, very poor attention to details, as well as make a mockery out of this case, unfortunately. Unfortunately, but they are out there. So for those that still want to rack up, some entertainment, kill some time, you know where to go. Go to the entertainment channel. You want the facts, you want what's real, you want to break down the truth and get to a point of substance, well, you know where to go to. I'm glad to be a part of that. Kiana Thompson, welcome. Eat is in the house. The Eat Kitchen is in the house. I miss you. Wow. Some people coming in tonight. Okay. Oh, warm up the room real good. All right. So I wanted to discuss a couple of things and share a couple of things with you in regards to our ongoing investigation on this case. It's never ending. Every time you look at something, you think you know it. You go back and look at it again, and then you see something different. And then you say, And then you go back and take another look at it again, and you see something else. And that's what this case is. Something else. Sure. And for those that are focused and do their work with integrity and persistence and perseverance, yeah, the truth will come out. It will prevail. That's the direction the truth is always. Those that seek it find it. Those that knock it, it unlocks unto them. You've heard those words similar before elsewhere. But those are the ones that are looking for the truth. And I stand behind those looking for the truth. And hopefully they stand behind me as well. JM Silence, God bless you. Welcome. Crystal Conley, welcome. All right, so to get into tonight's information, I want to know where I'm going to start. We're going to get into some stuff. Got to find a standing point here because I'm going to share with you some things that will raise your eyebrows. I promise you that. Because when I look at stuff, I look at it hard enough, well enough to say, where can this lead to? What can this do? And so forth. Asking questions about this case is the route to finding the truth. If you're not asking questions about this case, then you're not looking for the truth. Because questions do deliver the answers. And if you're just taking someone's word at face value as to what they're telling you, what happened to Kenneka, well, I would definitely stand to question your motives. Because in an investigation, questions are the answers. Questions lead to the answers. Questions lead to the truth. And to get to the truth, you've got to be focused. And when you have that kind of focus and you're doing this with integrity, it becomes something else and you find something else. You find what you're looking for. And so let me go ahead and do a screen share and begin tonight's presentation. Much love to everyone who is in the house. If I missed anybody, I'll try to come back to the chat room. Tanya Daniels, welcome. And I think we can go here. Out of there. All right. And so, before I begin a presentation, I like to put up a disclaimer. And that disclaimer, I'll put it up there nice and big so everybody can see it. Okay, we got to get rid of these notifications because they come in one at a time, piece by piece, bit by bit, step by step, day by day. All right, so we have our fair use disclaimer up because we are going to share information that is public and has been found on the internet during our research. And it just says that we're going to be using this information for educational purposes only. Also for criticism and critique. Let me do a sound check. Thank you, Ms. BBK. Sound check in the room, type of 1 if we got good sound. I want to make sure we got good sound, good sound, good sound. Y'all can hear me. And then we can get rolling. All right. All right. So for those of you who are with us tonight, welcome. All right. We got good sound. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So in regards to doing any kind of investigation, and I know I've covered this information in my earlier lives, but it's well worth repeating because it brings focus into mind and what it takes to really work on this kind of a case. Whether it be this case or any case you're following, it does take focus. And the kind of focus that we're talking about, Iris Fox, how you doing? Steelers Mama, how you doing? Thank you. Rosalind Gentry, much love to you too, dear. So we have in front of you a model for crime scene investigations. And that model tells us what to look for. And it's a fairly simple model. And I've shared this with you before. And anytime I do my work, I bring my model up, and my model begins to talk to me about the crime, because it is a crime. This was no accident. It was something done to another individual in a place and at a time that caused them to lose their life. And in this regard, we are speaking of Kenneka Jenkins. Young lady, 19 years old, was found dead in a hotel kitchen freezer, wrapped up in the Crown Plaza Hotel, Rosemont. Iris Fox, how you doing? I hope you're doing good. That's good. And in so doing, we look at this model and we begin to focus on where to do our work. And here we talked about, we know that there are timelines in any investigation. When we have at least the one we've been focusing on is Kenneka Jenkins, hence the victim. We know that there were plenty of witnesses at the hotel who were at the party, attended the party. Both Killer and Irene's birthday party was more of a kickback than a birthday party. We know that. The physical evidence of the case, and there is plenty of physical evidence in this case. And some of the veterans that have been working on this case have been covering that physical evidence, whether it be the narratives, crime scene photos, and obviously the video surveillance footage. And other aspects of this case become physical evidence. Suspects are another part of this case that does exist in this case, because there was foul play. And honing down on who or they are has been a work in progress for all of us that have been following carefully in this case. And hence, when you put all 5 of these components together, this makes up what we call is the crime. And when you have this kind of a model before you, you can't get lost. You can't lose your focus. So tonight, we're going to try to touch base on a few of these areas just to crystallize the information and keep us focused going in the right direction. Because that's where a number of people have not been giving their attention to, which is moving this case forward in the proper direction. As I said, this case is not about entertainment. This case is about justice. It's about getting justice. Nothing else. Nothing else. Truth reveals. I'm just curious, why out of all the deaths, murders, why is her case so accessible to the public? Pictures and all. Good question. Because the Rosemont Public Safety Department made it public. And that was under a FOIA request that was fulfilled by the Public Safety Department, and they decided to put the Kenneka Jenkins death investigation case on their public safety website for all to access this particular case. Strange as it may be, that's what they did. That's what they did. And so since they did that, knowing that people like us was going to jump on that and try to look into it and to try to find some answers as to what happened to Kenneka Jenkins on September the 9th of 2017 at the Crown Plaza Hotel, knew that we would access that information and come to our own interpretations, our own conclusions, whether they be real or unreal, whether they be true or false. And hence the mindset behind checking this information, looking into this information, investigating this information plays a very important role in coming to factual conclusions rather than hypothetical ones. If that makes sense. Facts play an important part in all of our life because facts are closest to the truth than hypotheticals. You know, someone is lying to you through their teeth when they speak, or if they're telling you something, or if they're showing you something, you know deep down in your heart what a non-truth is, what a lie is. There's been plenty of that in this case, unfortunately. Why? Motives. Motives. Breaks down to motives. What are the person's motives? That's what you have to ask yourself. Why are they doing this? What do they hope to gain? Where is the gain? And then when you look toward seeking out what that gain is, it becomes apparent because they're showing it to you dead in your face. How do they stand to gain? Well, real simple. You see anything like the word donations? You see anything like the word Cash App? You see a little dollar sign down where the chat box is, where you make your entries to say hello in a chat room? Anything like that goes to motive. My channel is not monetized. I've said that. I began my channel that way, and I've covered this case that way. I intend to stay that way on this case. If I get into other work, I will let you know firsthand if we're going to be doing something that requires us to be monetized. But right now, no, not on this case. So yeah, good point. Good point was made. Why did they make all this stuff so public? Because they knew the barrage of conclusions and people's ideas and their conversations would put this in such a mix, it would lose all points of focus. It would desensitize people. And once you become desensitized to it, you don't think of it too much. And hence, that's where the mind goes. We start to take a look at other points of interest that get our attention, whether it's a new story developing online or in the newspapers or on TV. Children are being taken from us, kidnappings are happening, shootings are still occurring, you know, those kinds of stories, to take and redirect our attention elsewhere. We become desensitized to it, which plays a very important part to mindset. Okay, so In looking at our model, for tonight's purposes, we're going to be taking a look at a few pieces of information to get the ball rolling. One, see if I want to go here first. Yeah, let's go here. Is what we've already seen. And going back over some of the information, just to recrystallize the focus, plays a very important part in staying focused and keeping integrity in line. We know that the evidence that we've covered covers the video surveillance footage, which is part of the case. The evidence we also covered, which was the timelines. And in our last video live, we covered a lot of information as it pertains to editing techniques. And Humongous D did an excellent job in the video work that he was able to put on his channel. Major shout out goes out to Humongous D. We covered what Andrew Holmes had talked about in his first interview released on Facebook and then on YouTube. And we covered that information. But here we have to take a look at evidence with different eyes. What are we looking at? And in this particular clip I'm showing you here, this is the southwest entry to the Crown Plaza Hotel in Rosemont. This is the entryway in which Kenneka, Shemaya, Bribri, and Monifa entered the hotel. This is the video format which was given to us as the Rosemont Police Department's investigation posted on their website, given to them by the Crown Plaza on a hard drive and thumbnail drives for them to investigate this case. And as we can see, pertaining to this evidence, well, there's a lot here that befuddles the mind. 2 timestamps, the selected media player, or the exec file, they call this, that was given to repost this information, poses a lot of questions. A lot of people had questions about the double timestamps. We've covered that information in detail. So has a number of content creators. But that question still remains today because that's how they left it. That's how they gave it to us, knowing that it would begin to cause confusion. Those folks have never seen videotape before. They don't know what they're looking at. All they're doing is looking at pictures. Well, most of us as content creators looked at these pictures, especially the video surveillance footage, with different eyes. We were looking for clues, for tampering, editing, masking, time skips, all of the little different inconsistencies that make up what tampering is all about. And obviously, we've tried to provide as much information about that to you as possible. And not only from this channel, Humongous D has covered it, Mr. Jackie Dragon has covered it, Chloe Olvera has covered it, Hell of a Chick has covered it, Watch Out Squad has covered it, Mr. Boss Blake has covered it, I Have Questions has covered it, 54 Keys has covered it. Guerrilla Media has covered it. Our Tube is YouTube, or that new channel. She's covered it. DG3 has covered it, and a host of others has covered that information. You can find their channels, they're up and running, and those are the ones that are truly investigating this case. Those are the ones I see that has focus and integrity investigating this case. Those are the ones that I follow. Those are the ones that I've looked at. Those are the ones that are worth following. I'm going to see if I can get to the next video clip, but that is the Southwest entry, in which on September 8th into the 9th, coming into a hotel, we see Kenneka and her friends arriving at the Crown Plaza Hotel. And once again, notice the video format, the surveillance format. And I just want you to lay your eyes on this without much commentary, because what you see is going to be more real than perhaps what I may say. Here we don't have a double timestamp on this video piece. Elevator. And then we begin to ask questions as to why. Why doesn't the pass elevator area have a double timestamp? What happened to the other timestamp on the left? When you start to really take a look at the critical parts of the evidence to look for. Why is motion detected when there aren't or isn't anything rendering motion? And then when there is motion, we see motion. And time skips play a very important part in the evidence collection department. And in paying attention to details and doing your own 5 cents investigation on this case, and knowing what you see, knowing what you know to be true, no one can pull the wool over your eyes in mentioning anything about this case. That takes mindset. Some videos we have single timestamps. Other videos we have double timestamps. Now, why is that? Why is that? Why is that? And so when you can look with your own eyes and see the footage in its entirety, the footage that was made public, you can begin to go back and do your own investigation and see with your own eyes as to what the truth is all about, because it's been here in front of us all this time. All this time. I have to compliment a couple of content creators because of their recent work and their long-term dedication, because they've laid out a lot of groundwork. They put out a lot of foundation for us to check on and not just take one content creator's word for it. We can compare notes, we can compare information, we can compare investigative methods, and we can see how close we are to the same exact truth. That's right, Real Brooklyn. They put that information on their website because they only wanted to show us what they wanted us to see. Machiavelli, British, how you doing? 9 how you doing? Welcome. And so when you can take a look at this video surveillance footage in its entirety and get to this point called the upper kitchen, which is way in the back of the hotel, where the employee parking area is, and they call this the upper kitchen, kosher kitchen, under construction, not used for any purpose whatsoever because it was under construction. However, this area was accessible, and hence you have a security breach, and hence the hotel now has a liability. Fact number one, the hotel has a liability in this video clip in the upper kitchen. This is where it all started. When Kenneka disappears behind that wall, she walks past that cooler door, and we know that there is a back room, an empty closet space, storage space room with no door. She disappears, and this particular video clip shuts off at the time designated that it shut off. We've had controversy as to whether this is 232, 233 as a timestamp in one video. And then we have another clip showing us the same thing with a different time of 333, giving us a 1 hour difference, hence an inconsistency in the video information that was put out. Certain content creators have dug into this and started looking into the matter as to the reasons why we have that 1 hour timestamp differentiation. And we know why, because the video was converted from a raw file to an exec file. We covered that information in our last live. Humongous D did some excellent work in showing us how you can convert a raw file with one timestamp, and I've showed you that, the one on the left, and the conversion from a raw file, 3GP file, to an exec file, which puts a player in the file case itself, and hence the player that you see before you in the upper kitchen. If we were looking at the raw file, the player around the surveillance footage would not be there. It would be consistent with the files that were shown previous to that, such as the southwest entry, the food court, the lower level conference area, and so forth. So hence we start to see inconsistencies and discrepancies in this case right away. But this was the most important part of the case right here. Selena Cohen, 2nd-degree black belt. How you doing, love? I said people all up in here. Okay. We're warming up the house. Much love to everyone that's joined us tonight. We'll get into some details on this. And so hence the file that was made public called the exec file, which is right before you, is the evidence that was given to us by the Public Safety Department, Rosemont, and that evidence was given to them by the Crown Plaza Hotel voluntarily. The police did not collect this evidence during the time of their investigation. They waited a couple of days until Crown Plaza decided to give them the video surveillance footage and all aspects of the hotel's security cameras. Hence, we see an inconsistency in police investigation because that breaks protocol. That does not happen in a true investigation. Police collect this evidence on time, on point, on premise at the time of the investigation. They don't say, hey, well, I know you don't have this ready. So, when you can get it ready for us, could you just, slide that over to our office and so we can make sure that we have it filed? Is how this particular case was treated. Period. And so now we see an inconsistency in the investigation of this case begin to take. But this particular part here in the upper kitchen plays a very important part in solving this case, because this is the last place we actually see Kenneka on footage. According to the files that were made public to us. At 3:32 or 2:33, whichever you want to deem the time, that 1 hour time differentiation. This is the last time and the last place we see Kenneka. We all know that she didn't walk into that cooler section, find the second door, turn to the left, take a half step to the left, and open up a freezer door. As Andrew Holmes said in our last video live. She would not have done that. The reason why is because of human nature. And I'll throw in my little 2 cents about human nature. Women are not going to go someplace they've never been before, travel by themselves, especially into a hotel area such as a kitchen area, or in the wee hours of the morning by themselves, and decide in some way, shape, or form that a cooler is the way out. I had to walk these steps with Kenneka to say, why did you come back here? What were you looking for? Or was somebody back here calling you over to you for you to come to them out of camera range? 90s flower child, how you doing? So human nature tells me, especially a 19-year-old female is not going to go someplace by herself alone in a place she's never been before, especially if it's dark. I don't think Kenneka would have done that. And hence we have the camera time shut off, or the camera disabled, or the video stops playing abruptly, because there's no more motion in this particular area after she bends around that wall and disappears. Now, there were several content creators that mentioned and stated, and it makes absolute good sense, that Kenneka turned around and walked up out of this kitchen. When she turned around and walked up out of this kitchen, she wasn't by herself. They believe that she met someone who was in the back out of camera range in order to lure her back there. Mike Mecca, who studied this particular video surveillance footage, said and stated and tested this particular footage and said that there were two deleted motions happening in this particular area, one before Kenneka got there and one right after she got there. Two deleted motions. Humongous D also covered information about these deleted motions in the editing process that he's covered on his channel. I have questions, also covered information in this particular area and other areas of the hotel, and also identified pixelations and deleted motions in and around the area and the time Kenneka showed up on video surveillance footage. Now you have three independent content creators looking at the same information as we all have, and these three came up with the same information regarding this particular area. Now, why is that? Why is that? If that's not true, then why did the three come up with the same comparison? And when you start to put these little bits of information together, you begin to see what the Crown Plaza did to cover their tracks. And the main reason we see what we see here today is because of liability. This is a multi-billion-dollar business that's trying to cover a liability, and it's a liability they called and deemed an accidental death. That's how they labeled it. With 54 keys, she mentioned that she doesn't believe Kenneka went into that cooler. Chloe Olvera said the same thing. Boss Blake said the same thing. I Have Questions said the same thing. Humongous D said the same thing. Beach Beauty said the same thing. Straight Drop said the same thing. When Corinne Harris checked this video file, she said the same thing. I say the same thing. Now you got all these people saying the same thing and putting it into a comparison block. We know something's wrong here. And hence the only true answer that comes up out of this is the hotel is protecting themselves against a death liability. A death liability. They just had to call it something. That's why this was called a death investigation to begin with. I studied this area and showed on my channel that there were people here in the upper kitchen area waiting for Kenneka. That as soon as she bent around that wall, there was an arm that reached around her waist and abruptly grabbed her out of camera view and brought her to the back of this kitchen area near the cooler out of camera range. We've seen it over and over and over and over again. And consistency plays a very important part in getting to the truth. And so with that said, we believe that Kenneka did come back out of that area. She wasn't alone. And walked back out through the doors in which she came and ended up outside in the back near the parking lot. Let's just take a look at something here. I wanted to set that premise for you tonight. I wanted to give you that because we're about to take a look at some additional information of evidence that we have to incorporate into this case. And what you're about to see, I think, is going to astonish you. Kenneka was not originally found in the upper kitchen, as we've been told. She was found in the southwest corner of the basement kitchen, right where Jeremy Walsh, PSO Jeremy Walsh, found her. I believe he not only found her, but the assistant food and beverage manager found her as well. And these are the two people that came up with a different narrative, or was advised to come up with a different narrative. I'll get to my point as we proceed. I'll tell you the reason I said that too. Let's continue. I know it's going to get deep, folks. It's going to get deep. Let me continue playing this and get to the end of this clip so that we can see the reasons why. And I thank Factual Truth for giving us that video surveillance footage from the FOIA request that they did back in 2017. And here we have the assistant food and beverage manager acting and playing his part in knowing exactly where Kenneka was in this upper kitchen. And knowing that the camera in this kitchen was activated and that he was on video surveillance footage at the time he did his walkthrough. When he did this walkthrough, he did it in a way that, through body language and just basic human nature, he knew where she was. There was no searching in other areas other than the area that he walked to along with PSO Walsh to the back of this kitchen area where the cooler and the freezer compartment was. And they went directly back to this area. How you doing, Tyrese? Welcome, Mama J. They knew where she was. PSO Walsh gets on his radio. He calls his supervisor, lets him know what the location is. See, they step right out in the area where they know the camera is viewing them and recording them, and then they leave. But this is the point of the video of where the Rosemont Police Department makes a mistake. This crime scene has been isolated now until PSO Walsh returns by himself. He returns by himself under police investigation of a death scene, crime scene of any kind. A police officer or officers or first responders are there to secure the area. They have to follow protocol in a death investigation. This police officer broke protocol. He decided to return to the kitchen unaccompanied by anyone. No supervisor, no lead detective, nobody, and decided to do what you're about to see done. He goes back to the freezer area. He opens the door. And now he decides to do something. He decides to move and interfere in a crime scene by using items to hold open the cooler door, changes the crime scene. But it was never reported in the narrative. Why did he do that? Beverly Palmer, how you doing, love? Why did he do that? Why would a police officer do that? Gives you an idea. And now he is accompanied by his supervisor, two other police officers, making four people visibly shown and seen in this crime scene, going back to the cooler area, knowing that the door now is jimmied open, for them to witness the finding, the official finding of Kenneka. And now coming back out, and the supervisor is the sergeant, I believe, that it was accompanied with pertaining to this unit, the search unit, while others are elsewhere in the hotel, now appearing into this kitchen, which places another six people on top of the four that was there. Seven, excuse me, on top of the four that arrived. And as you can see, PSO Walsh is still walking around the back of the kitchen. He's lifted up an item. He's got it in his hand. He's walking back toward the freezer area to jimmy that in the door, changing the crime scene, witnessed by the search party, the Rosemont Police Department. And this is all on videotape that they allowed to share with us. Now, we've seen this over and over and over again. But to take a look at this as evidence, concrete evidence before your eyes, no one can shake you as to what's before your eyes and how the police officers position themselves in this particular area, knowing that there's a camera recording their every move during the finding of Kenneka Jenkins in the upper kitchen. They wanted to make sure that they were seen in this area conducting their investigation just the way they did. And at this point, I'm going to stop here because we already know they're congregated now. They're speaking amongst each other. I'm not going to put words in their mouth like another YouTuber does on his channel. What they're discussing, how much information they're discussing, what they're doing is an entirely different element. We're not going to speculate that. What we can say is that they are in that kitchen at this particular time, discussing their findings. And they are in this kitchen, in this particular area, this specific area, if you're looking carefully. They are directly in front of the camera. And PSO Walsh gets a hug. Good work. Make your report. And hence the death investigation begins by the Rosemont Police Department. Okay, let me see if we can. I hope you guys are following me because I'm trying to lay this out so you can see it for yourself. There's little commentary as possible. so that I do not influence your decision-making process. That's how you investigate a case like this. No one needs to influence your decision-making process because the only one responsible for doing that is you. I just wanted to show you this last piece where you see a security officer in the morning doing what? Oh, now they're checking the upper kitchen to make sure that everything is okay. This is after the fact. And this security officer knows that he's on video surveillance footage as well. Now, you have to ask yourself this question. All right. Why did that security officer show up in the kitchen after the fact? Okay. Let me change this clip. Go back to my home page here for a second. Give me a moment, folks. Give me a moment. You know how these things drag a little bit, so we're working on it. We're working on it. Amanda, how you doing? We're working on it. Okay. I share with you that because it keeps the focus in perspective, keeps the evidence in front of you. It keeps the information right where it belongs. Let me see where I put it. Let me see where I put it. Nope, that's not it. Go back. I share with you that so that this way, mm, just give me a moment, folks. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. There we go. There we go. I think this is what I wanted. Yes. Okay. So I want to share with you the videography that the Rosemont Police Department did because it plays a very important part of the evidence. We have to continue with the evidence, and this has been put out by a DJ Drew Major, early in the case, and had given us what the Rosemont Police Department did in conducting a videography of the believed path Kenneka had taken. The believed path assumed by the Rosemont Police Department. And hence, major shout out to DJ for putting all of the short little clips that they had on the public safety website, all together in a cohesive and consistent video so that we can see the whole walkthrough uninterrupted on how the ninth floor at the Crown Plaza Hotel from room 926 was taken. And seeing this again, whether you've seen it 100 times, is good because you may capture something differently. But we want you to pay careful attention because we're going to get to a point to where the Rosemont Police Department screwed up again. From the elevator, from the 9th floor to the lower level area, lower level stairs toward the conference area, down the hallway, to the conference level, down that hallway, to these doors that lead to an employee area. Behind those doors now, into the employee area, we see an employee area where no one is. Through those doors to the lower level bathroom area, from the lower level bathroom area looking back toward those doors, into the main corridor between the east and the west side of the hotel, to the back where the freight elevator is, over to the left, a doorway where Kenneka allegedly opened that door and walked up these stairs, inebriated, as we saw her in the video clips. This is the believed path they assumed Kenneka had taken. To the top of the stairs, and hence to the rear area of the hotel. Now, I'm going to stop right here. This bothered me, oh, wow, since I've been on this investigation. Because I tried to figure out, why did Rosemont assume that Kenneka had taken this type of a path, footpath, to the back of the hotel, when there were other means and areas in which she could have taken. But they wanted to make sure that the area that was selected led her to the back area, the dock area, on the main floor, in the back where the employees enter and exit. This is a critical part because I believe I began to look at this area and I found some information that blew my mind. What I'm about to share with you, I'm sure that you may also agree and maybe disagree, but it's evidence that I needed to share with you. Kenneka absolutely did not walk up those stairs without falling, or walk the hallways for an hour without stopping to rest. That one girl, I hear you, as inebriated as she was, absolutely. But this is what the Rosemont Police Department's narrative is all about. Having a clear understanding as to how they came about putting this together and trying to make sense of it for themselves is what they did. And this particular police officer came, I believe, on the 12th or the day right after, the 11th or the 12th, 1 or 2 days after Kenneka was found in the upper kitchen by the Rosemont Police Department. They had to come back and do a walkthrough. And this is the walkthrough they decided to do, and they decided to post, and they decided to build a narrative from. Okay, let me get to my stuff because now we get to my stuff. It's a coming. You know how computers drag. And I'm about to share with you some stuff that began making me think. Okay. Oh, I got doubles here? Okay. Triples here? Okay, here we go. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. I hope you can. As you can see, they got security posted on the right-hand side. They have security posted at these doors. The sure as hell wasn't there that night or the morning Kenneka went walking through here. Now all of a sudden they give a security presence like you would not believe. In the lobby, down the hallways, in the back of the hotel now. This particular area poses so many questions in my mind, gave me so many questions in my mind. This area bothered me because this was unexplained. Why wasn't security posted in this area during the time Kenneka inebriated when traveling through that hotel? Where was security then? Ah, so this particular area here is the rear employee entrance area. And you're taking a look at it from the inside. One on the right side is taken by the police officer who did the videography. And two, the night of the walkthrough regarding the police officer who taken the photographs of the crime scene. This is critical. I just want to be on point with what I'm about to get into because this is what began to make me look at this area differently. What you're looking at now is the outside looking back in toward the hotel, almost from the parking lot area. I want you to type a 1 in the chat room to tell me that you can see that clearly. Type a 1 in the chat before I continue. Tell me that you see that picture clearly. If not, I'll blow it up. But I wanted you to take a look at the interior and the exterior of this location because it's very important as I proceed. Getting down to some critical details here. Connie Lockridge, thank you. Machiavelli, thank you. Rain, thank you. Okay, we're starting to get some ones in here. Great. Iris, thank you. That one girl, thank you. Real Brooklyn, thank you. Truth Reveals, thank you. Okay, I'm going to continue. This rear entrance bothered me, and it bothered me in a way because I started to see certain things show up in other places. What I'm about to show you may startle you, because it damn sure startled me. And now I'm going to blow this up. But before I do, I want you to notice details. I want you to take a very careful look at the details of this picture. They say a picture speaks 1,000 words, and the words must tell a story. Every picture in the crime scene photographs tells a story about what happened to Kenneka. Why this area is so important. Why did 3 to 4 content creators believe that Kenneka walked out of that kitchen and exited through these 2 doors to the rear area outside near the parking lot? And I agree with them 1,000%. I believe she did leave that upper kitchen after the camera turned off, after it was turned off. And she was now met with other individuals and taken outside in this area. I'm saying, why would they think that Kenneka was outside? Well, obviously, there was evidence on her clothes that she was outside. And I found that to be true. But this particular area here posed the bigger question. And that question is this. Bear with me. I'm working. What is that? What does that look like to you? Why would this particular area look like that? What is this on the base of this door? You tell me, what do you see? What is the first thing that comes to mind? Your answers are all yours. Your answers are the truth, so put them up there. Connie says it's blood. 9, or Nini says it's rust. Lorraine said my assumption would be blood. Anybody else? I'm asking you because I'm looking at something and I wanted you to see it so that you can look at something and then come to your own conclusion as to what you believe that is. Remember, your truth is going to stand. Even though we are not physically there to take a look for ourselves at this particular crime scene, we have to rely on the photos. And whatever the photos interpret, we can only come to our best conclusion based upon what we're looking at. Miss Justice says it's rust. Ira says rust, blood, a struggle of paint chips. I think that's rust. Truth Reveal says. Mama Wise says dirt rust. Machiavel says signs of a struggle. You see the different answers in the room, the different interpretations of what we see. This is why it's so important not to let anyone tell you what you see. You see what you see. Don't let anyone else try to build a narrative. In this case, other than to show you proof on what supports the narrative. Twinkie says rust. Looks orange, not red. John, it boils down to the facts that the police did not do their job properly. They were either lazy, didn't give a damn, because she was a black woman, and were paid off. Majestic 76716. I feel you. Because that plays a part of the truth. That plays a part of the truth. Now, I only point this out because I hadn't seen anybody who's covering the investigation point it out. I hadn't heard any information about this particular piece of evidence in this case. We've seen the rear entrance. We're familiar with the photograph and the other crime scene areas, but this particular piece of information is different. It's different. So let me move on, because I'll tell you the reason why I showed you this. I wanted you to see it so you know you saw it on my channel. John Q showed that, and it'll stay in your mind as to what that particular piece of information is. And then, from this particular piece of information, led me to the second piece of information. And the second piece of information I came across startled the hell out of me. What made me believe that Kenneka came through this doorway and was taken outside. And it's this brick. That bothered me. I said, why in the hell is a brick there? I mean, just right there. Did that fall off the building? Why would a brick be on the ground outside the rear employee entrance? Anybody? Looked like half of a cylinder brick. Yes, Mama Jade, that's on the rear entrance door. Why would this brick be there? And here, hence, the Rosemont Police Department police officer taking this picture also notice it was there, but there's nothing in the narratives pertaining to this particular piece of information in the case. Connie Lockridge says it held the door open. Jules 59 says it held the door open or closed. And that would be easy to conclude. So you're coming up with your own answers. I'm not saying a thing. I'm just leading you to the question. I'm allowing you to get some answers tonight because focus is the key. It takes integrity, real integrity, and true focus to really take a look at this case. And you're the ones telling me the answers. What is a brick doing there? Prop open the door. Now, let's take a look at the third piece of evidence. And the third piece of evidence is this. Blowing it up as big as I can. So you can see the third piece of evidence. Third piece of evidence I came across is what's next to the brick. What is right next to the brick? What is right next to the brick? Sure, you can see it. Back out of us a little bit. There we go. In that area. What do you see? 9 sustains. What kind of stains do you see, 9? I like your answer so far. Now tell me, what kind of stains do you see? Washed out area. The same color stuff that's on the door. Watch out, squad says. Novella Wilson says blood. Scuff marks of blood stains. Look at the answers in this room tonight. These are your answers, folks. I need your answers. Remember, the truth is what you believe it to be. A poor cleanup job, Miss Justice says. Mama Y says drag marks. Iris says blood. A combination of a poor cleanup job and blood. I do see spots and spatters. Can't tell the color, Lorraine says. But this is a particular piece of evidence that is part of the case. It's always been there. For 3 years, it's been here. Over 3 years now. In this photo, taken by the Rosemont police officer who took this photo. In the case files. But yet, nothing is mentioned. All right. Let's Let me ask you this question. Based upon your experience, anywhere you ever went to where they've used a cylinder brick like this to hold open and prop open doors in different places that you've been, knowing that doors are heavy and bricks only weigh a certain amount of mass and weight, what would you get on the ground from this type of a cylinder brick being there? What happens when a door drags on this type of a brick, on this type of asphalt? What happens? Something was there and they scrubbed it clean, but not sure. hmm Scratches. Nine says scratches. Or you would get abrasion particles from the brick rubbing back and forth on the ground, wouldn't you? That brick would start to break a little. In fact, it would start to begin to powder. You would get brick abrasion breaking down into powder, wouldn't you? Two abrasive surfaces rubbing up against each other. Yes, you would get scratch marks. Yes, you would get ground abrasion. And from this cylinder brick, you would get particles falling off this brick, creating almost like a powder like substance, wouldn't you? Chalky. Yes, Connie. Now we're getting somewhere. Residue marks like scuff, Mama J says. Yes, you get that chalky substance. It's almost like taking a piece of chalk and rubbing it against a blackboard. Chalk is going to leave its residual markings on the blackboard. Well, it's the same thing here. You're going to get residual markings from the brick scraping against the ground, trying to hold a heavy door open, which is a security door. Now, why would I say that? I'm glad you asked. Because now, from this area, this back area, this rear entrance, employee entrance to the back area, and it looks like some employees would step out here, maybe have a cigarette, drink a bottle of water on a break, chit chat, text on their phone, maybe make a phone call, walk out to their car, etc. Then go back in after their 15 or 30-minute break is done. Just typical being on the job, a typical thing people would do. But let me get down to why I showed you the brick. Excuse me. Let me get down to why I showed you the door, the brick, and the brick residue on the ground. Because it's the same residue, the same substance, the same particles I see in Kenneka's hair. How about you? How about you? How about you? Same substance that you see before you could be consistent with the same substance found on the ground in the rear entrance, employee entrance area, in and around that area where that brick was. Only led me to believe in the other content creators that said Kenneka left that kitchen and was taken outside. And once outside, in an area that had no camera, obviously an isolated area, 2:30 or 3:30 in the morning, on a Saturday morning, with little or no traffic coming in and out of that employee area, would give people an opportunity now, wouldn't it? An opportunity to do to someone that was found just the way they found her here in this location, in the freezer compartment, the upper kitchen, as a final resting place. Yeah, her sister did say she looked like she was in a fight, that there was a struggle. The evidence of the crime scene photos of Kenneka being in this location says that she was in an area where these particles had been. She was in an area, she had to be in an area where these particles that ended up in her hair had been. And as painstakingly as we've all tried to make a contribution to cover the information in this case, even still today, we are finding evidence of the crime scene. I'm trying to find the best evidence of the crime scene because that's the evidence that'll talk to us. No, Kenneka's not here to talk to us. Evidence that not only was she outside, but evidence of her jacket being so high on and behind her head and a buckling underneath her arms where the jacket buckles and creases high on her back. In this particular photo, that is, can also lead us to believe that she was placed here. And which indicates that she was placed here. Here, once again, is the rear view employee entrance area, looking at it from the inside. Through these doors. Why did they leave one door open? Why did they take a picture of the door open? Did they find it that way? Or was this door opened by the police and left that way? And as you can see, that brick is still outside. And this area is all dirty and gray. Track marks from heavy traffic in and out of this area. Going into the dishwashing area to the right. Security room here to the right in this window area. There is an office here. Where security should have been, most likely, should have been operating in here, but wasn't at the time this event had occurred. And this is somewhat of a blurry picture. I want to see if I can find something better. And please forgive me, I am showing crime scene photos but this is part of the case. This is a redacted photo of Kenneka when she was propped up by the Rosemont Police Department during the time of the investigation. And to have removed her from her original position, to prop her up out of that corner so that they could see in its entirety how her body remained, and the areas of her hair, if I can get close enough to it, and how her hair was upon her head, and how it was laid and matted, dirty. And the condition that she was left in, and the crime scene photos that were taken by the technician at the time, only further indicates that a crime scene was manipulated. I got to go back. In this particular picture, we see that cerebral edema is present. The top, both sides, front, down to her neck have swelled up. Yet this was one of the least pathological finding factors in the autopsy. But yet, once again, the condition of her hair and how matted it is and filthy and dirty. It was almost as if her hair was laying on the ground in those brick particles that we talked about. And this is just my opinion and my belief. I believe Kenneka suffered from cerebral edema, died as, and died as a result of it. Not by accident. This definitely does not look like an accident. It will never look like an accident. Finding the substance that I found in her hair, identifying the substance that I found in her hair, gives us very strong indication that she was outside in the back of that rear parking employee entrance area. No doubt. No doubt. I covered the autopsy report, Cook County Medical Examiner's report, and we talked about that in part of our series. And I wanted to get to another part of this case that has not been talked about. I don't believe I've covered this particular part of the case, but yet there has been mentioned by other content creators that there is additional evidence in this case that the autopsy does not report. I think I found it. When I did cover the autopsy that was done on September the 10th by the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office at 10 a.m. Saturday morning, by Kirsten E. Howell, MD, we know that she's doing a fellowship at the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office. Supervising Medical Examiner Kristen Escobar Alvarenga, MD. Anyone who's read this autopsy report would know the content of it. I covered it in previous video. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. I'm going to get down to the nitty-gritty. The reason why I brought the autopsy report back up. We talked about the findings, the evidence of injury, internal examination. We talked about all of the non-irregularities in this autopsy: respiratory system, alimentary system, hemolymphatic system, endocrine system, musculoskeletal system, specimens submitted. We talked about the 4 components of what was submitted. DNA bloodstain card had been retained by this particular medical examiner, trainee to be exact. Samples of the vitreous fluid, central blood, peripheral blood, bile, and urine had been submitted to toxicology laboratory for analysis. Sections of various organs are submitted for microscopic analysis, and sections of organs have been retained. During this autopsy, we talked about the pathological findings. We talked about the order of the pathological findings, in which, of course, this particular medical examiner, well, let's just say this. This is a trainee and not a medical examiner doing this autopsy report, first of all. They are not a certified medical examiner. This is a trainee actually performing training session to become possibly a medical examiner. We talked about the superficial wounds. of blunt force injuries, the ethanol and topiramate intoxications that were found in blood, and hence we come to the point that I made in that video regarding the cerebral edema nonspecific. And there was no explanation for the cerebral edema finding. And this is the turning point in this particular autopsy, because I believe that this is an incomplete autopsy, only 7 pages long. There's no stomach content presented in this autopsy, no body temperature presented in this autopsy, a number of irregularities and inconsistencies that are presented in this autopsy. Only with an opinion at the very end of it to conclude that Kenneka died of hyperthermia. Due to the fact that she had alcohol and topiramate as contributing factors to her death. Hence, but also in the report, at autopsy, the body was not frozen. Let me say that again. At autopsy, the body was not frozen. This is a 10 a.m. autopsy. Some autopsies can take hours to perform. Stomach demonstrated Wisniewski lesions, and the brain was edematous, swollen. However, nothing in this paragraph explains the reason why. The autopsy did not reveal any trauma that would have caused or contributed to her death. A superficial abrasion, scrape on the right ankle, and a contusion bruise on the right leg. There was no other evidence of external or internal trauma. Yet, we can take a look at the picture of Kenneka in that freezer compartment and find all kinds of trauma, which was not explained in the autopsy. And here we get to the very end of it. In conclusion, the cause of death of hypothermia due to cold exposure in a walk-in freezer with ethanol and topiramate intoxication, significant contributory conditions. Manner of death, accident. 1 + 1 does not equal 3. But here they tried to make the answer 3. How could a trainee performing a fellowship at the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office conclude that the manner of death was accident? How do you get to that conclusion? You can't, because they weren't there during the investigation. This was signed off on October the 6th of 2017, nearly 30 days later. 30 days later, nearly 30 days later, this was signed off. Performed on 9/10, and yet finalized and concluded the next month on the 6th day. Stated that in the report, the news report, that the autopsy after 2 weeks of waiting was inconclusive. But yet they lay out a 7-page autopsy to where are you finding your inconclusions? Why did it take so long to get to the answers that you gave us? Well, they were waiting for the toxicology report. Toxicology report, right behind the autopsy, came back. And I'll share that with you. I've shared a little bit before. I'll share that with you again tonight. because they sent a corrected report to the Cook County Medical Examiner's office. When did they do it? Report issued 9/27 of 2017. And there was only 4 positive findings in the toxicology report that was concluded upon, right here on page 1. And we could see what those positive findings are and were. Ethanol, blood alcohol concentration, caffeine, and 3,000 nanograms of topiramate. Tested positive in terms of finding. However, they did perform, remember the dates, people, remember the dates. They did perform other tests in this examination, toxicology examination, for GHB blood screening, postmortem forensic blood screening, and urine screening. This report does not have GHB as a positive finding. Only the ethanol, caffeine, topiramate, and ethanol confirmed. And reference comments below it to give you identification as to what these elements and compounds are. And this work order was concluded and signed off by Denise Team, certifying scientist, on what date? 9/27. 9/27. Keep that in mind. Tested also for other compounds. Report explains and gives a proper identification of. But they could not find any GHB in their system. Final report came in, and this was also signed off by Ahmad Zachariah, lab director, 9/27. On the 27th. Now, I bring that up to your attention because, according to the toxicology report, there was no date rape drug, GHB, in her system. Well, obviously not. You wouldn't find GHB in her system on the 27th. They found her on the 10th. Took her to the Cook County Medical Examiner's office the morning of the 10th, performed the autopsy. 2 weeks later, inconclusive, and then concludes the autopsy on October the 6th, along with a completed toxicology report, such as what we've just got finished reviewing, only to tell us that there was no date rape drug in her system. Well, why is that? Why is that? Well, let's find out. Let's find out. Let's find out why. I know I had it around here somewhere. Give me a second. So we now know, at least for our own information, we now know that the detection window is short for GHB. However, only being able to detect a small amount of GHB in the urine up to 12 hours after last use. Blood tests, while invasive, are the most common way to test for GHB use because they are highly accurate. Blood tests will only detect GHB use for up to 8 hours after last used. Now, as inebriated as Kenneka was, who's to say, or what's to say that GHB was not used? Just because the autopsy and the toxicology report doesn't present GHB as a contributing factor to her death or result of it, it doesn't mean that GHB wasn't used at that time due to the limited time span that GHB would exist between 8 to 12 hours. 12 hours in the urine, 8 hours in blood. After that, guess where it goes? It disappears. Kenneka was found 21 hours later. And then if you add an additional 8 hours on top of that to the autopsy report, there would be no trace evidence of GHB in her system. Would it? We have to consider that there may have been GHB used in the alcoholic beverage that she had that night at the Crown Plaza, only to dissolve and disappear after a certain time. And hence, there was plenty of time for that to have been in his system and then dissolve later, not to be found in the urine or the blood after testing. And we know how long we had to wait for the autopsy report, and we know how long we had to wait for the toxicology report. But what is to say that GHB wasn't used? As inebriated as Kenneka was, and the condition she was found in that freezer. Robin says, can't you get orders to exhume years later? And is there, but they're not testing blood? Robin, that's an excellent question. That's an excellent question. But if we're talking about GHB, it wouldn't be there. Because of the compound that GHB consists of. So keep that in mind, folks. Just because it's not present in a legal document doesn't mean it wasn't there as evidence to begin with. And now understanding the time limits in terms of how GHB is used, the compound element it's made from, and how long it will exist plays a very important part in this case. Because we know that young people that go out and want to have a good time and want to pop pills and do all this ecstasy and GHB and all this other stuff, that's what they do. And especially these thirsty, hungry, you know what's that, that want to have fun. And we've heard some stories about that in this case. Most likely, GHB was present at that party. Kenneka did become intoxicated, not only to the ethanol or the alcohol that she drank, but also to a possible spike in her drink. Because somebody had an interest in wanting to get with Kenneka that night. Not only wanting to get with her, wanted to get to her. And now the story crystallizes again, goes back to motive. Who and why? Let me see if I have anything else I want to share with you. I think we're doing pretty good on time. But I wanted to share that with you so that this way we would also incorporate that information into our evidence file in regards to Kenneka being found in that freezer, Kenneka's hair being so matted and dirty, Kenneka's hair consisting of particles which is consistent with the particles that were found outside the rear employee entrance area from a cylinder brick that was used to hold a door open from time to time, not too far from the rear dock area. Also giving us information that she was outside. Let me see if I can go back to another particular viewpoint. This is important. Because now tying that piece of information together and taking a look back at a particular piece of information, we can now understand why a particular camera in the back of that area where the employee entrance is was off. Because I believe that camera did capture the activities that we talked about tonight happening back there by those doors, in and around that area, to the back of the dock area, outside. One of the same cameras that was reported to the Rosemont Police Department on September the 29th that was still reported inoperable. And we covered that information in one of our last lives. That's why that camera was critical to be out, because it did capture, or was supposed to capture, the activities and events that happened to Kenneka in the back of that hotel. It would have told us exactly what happened in that area. Would you agree? And for her to have been led in an area, in a place she's never been before, and just to passively, intoxicatingly just walk to this location, whether it be within the course of 8 minutes, according to the video surveillance footage that makes us believe that, hey, in 8 minutes, she went from the ninth floor to the upper kitchen, or whether she was missing for an hour before she got there. Either way you play it, foul play is still a part of it. Foul play plays a very deep part of this case because it's written all over the place. It's all over the place. Taking a look at another photo, could this be the same substance on the cooler handle door? On the cooler door near the release valve. Could this be the same substance that's on the back of the rear employee entrance doors at the bottom? Get out. Could it be? You tell me. Could it be? The evidence is here. We're looking at it. If we're paying careful attention and we have a strong focus, and we can take a look at this evidence with integrity, no BS, no fairy tales, just straight up evidence, we can begin to see certain things. We can begin to see inconsistencies. We can begin to see the evidence in its entirety. No narratives pointing to the left, no narratives pointing to the right, no narratives pointing to other content creators being at the hotel, no narratives of jesters and jackals and clowns. We had everybody at the hotel except the president. He must have been in the back watching the security monitors while this was going on, huh? Or Monifa is still walking around with Kenneka sneakers while she's looking for her. Or Shemaya walking around with a walkie-talkie. And nonsense like that. Just taking a look at the evidence itself and coming to your own conclusions based only on the evidence. Proof, not hearsay. No hypotheticals. Just look at the evidence and take a look at what it's telling you. And that's what we try to do here. You don't need a background to have your eyes, an investigation to have your eyes open. All you need is a good mind. All you need is a good mind and common sense. That's all. And if you can keep it right where it belongs, Things begin to make sense. Things begin to make sense. So I'm going to take a look at the chat a little bit, take a break from all this clicking and bouncing around, and get a chance to get some feedback from you based upon what we've covered here tonight. I know it's a lot, but the evidence does talk. It speaks so loud. All we have to do is look at it and listen. We don't have to make it up. Only clowns would make up evidence. Think about it. People who are not serious about this case have to make up narratives and evidence just to keep you going. And it's sad because it's a damn waste of time. It's an insult to people's intelligence. I know content creators that have busted their tail for the last 3 years and several months, putting together the evidence and putting it right in our face and telling us just like it is. A spade is a spade, period. End of story. Meanwhile, you got the clowns out there telling us a story. Storytellers. Fairy tales. Changing killers every week. Things of that nature. Nonsense. Nonsense. Now, if you're coming on board, uh, brand new, taking a look at this case and taking a look at the evidence that certain content creators are putting it out there, I highly recommend the content creators that I've mentioned here on my channel. Some of us see eye to eye, and some of us don't. I go where the evidence is. And the content creators that I've seen put out good work and good evidence are the ones that I've mentioned. In this case, Mr. Jackie Dragon put out great content, evidence in this case. 54 Keys has put out great content based upon the evidence in this case. Watch Out Squad has put out great content, evidence. He's the guy asking questions. What does this look like to you? Did you notice a different timestamp? Is it 2:32 or 3:32? Why is it on the news they show it as 2:32? And on the media player that we got from the Rosemont Public Safety Department, it says 3:32. Great questions, because he's looking. Humongous D's work in reference to the evidence in this case, and I've shared some of his work on my platform. Now, I highly recommend these particular content creators. Chloe Olvera, Cassie, has put out great content, case content on this case over and over and over and over again. Seriously investigating the evidence because she's looking for true and false. You can go to her channel and you can find out. And then you can prove to yourself as to whether that's evidence or not in this case. Beach Beauty has put out good content, evidence in this case, photo manipulations, things of that nature. But there is one area that the Rosemont Police Department screwed up when they did this walkthrough. Not in the case files. Not in the case files. I couldn't find it, and I said, uh-oh, it screwed up again? Oh, yeah. There's a lot of mistakes and errors in this case. When they did this walkthrough, they didn't do a complete job. Let's see if I can get to the next clip. I want you to take a careful look at the evidence that I have questions. Another content creator, excellent work, had put together just to share with us regarding the pass elevator. Pay very careful attention to details when you're watching this. You're about to see something you probably haven't seen. Pay careful attention to details. Because you'll be able to see something or an image right behind Kenneka's head. And that's a very important image because an independent content creator found that information. I'm getting all this other stuff. Another area of contention in this case is this particular area here. Rosemont Police Department, when you did your walkthrough, why didn't you walk through this area? Why wasn't a report done in Kitchen East? What happened to the video guy when he did his walkthrough? He didn't go in here. This is not even a part of the police report's narratives. And yet, this is the area in which Kenneka, on video surveillance footage, was present and caught. Not only walking through this particular area, but walking into a completely different area in the back of this kitchen. In kitchen 2, where it extends like a big horseshoe and then loops back around into kitchen east, or what I call is the east kitchen. And this is the area we see a lot of contention going on here. But yet it's not a part of the Rosemont police report. The narratives. This whole section was skipped over. I showed you the video walkthrough. They went right down a hallway and looped around to the left, showed us the lower level bathroom, turned around, showed us the doors, turned around, showed us the corridor she walked to the end of the corridor, made a left, went through the door, up the stairs, to the back, around into the kosher kitchen. That's what they showed us. So there's a hole in their investigation called "You're Missing the Kitchen East and Kitchen 2, where Kenneka was present on video surveillance footage, dudes. Not part of the narratives or reports or anything. Big hole in this case investigation, and maybe big enough to get it relooked at, re-examined, reclassified from one area called an accidental death due to hypothermia and reclassified to a homicide. They missed a very big part in this case, and you're looking at it right here. Right here. Right here. And this is a video clip in which Straight Drop and I analyzed and reviewed together. I was on the phone with him while he was doing a live, and we studied this particular area of contention regarding Kenneka showing up on video surveillance footage. I mean, we were working on this. And yet this was one of the very big parts of the police narratives that was missing. And crazy transparencies. Like you would not believe. Let me see if I can.
A huge distortion in her body frame itself, you know, especially where the legs are, her hips, her thighs, her calves, all the way down to her sneakers, which start to act funny down below.
Exactly. See, right here, this is my question. See, right here, this I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna send you the video unlisted, but right here, it doesn't look like her. But she took the first step by this at the table, right? And the first step by the table is on the bottom of it is blocked out like metal. So there's no way I'm supposed to see her leg, a whole leg, through the reflection of the table. Like
right.
I see her foot right there. You know what I mean? I'm
right.
on my frame and still going to be there. See, you probably can't see it, but you can see her whole bottom of her leg right here. It's like it's on the table. You know what I mean? Her arms are in front of her, so it wouldn't reflect that way. It's like her leg is still there. Like they try to shade it out, but it still shows through the silver table. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the color of the table, yeah.
Then it's still there again. It's still there again. This is why I mean, like, I haven't really been on this footage like that, but every time I go back, man, I promise you, man, every time I go back,
you see something new. I know.
It's like, crazy. Every time. And then look at how she about to walk. See, foot's through there. Every step you see her foot, and then she go right here is that electric cord wire. Her legs goes right through that motherfucker, like
right through it.
First step,
right through it.
Watch right through it.
So,
boom.
And so, you know, that's what you know, brought up the idea that you know, if we really had this thing looked at for authentication, I think we would have at least something new to go on, and something new to focus to see if we can all, you know, the whole thing is to get this case re-examined, reopened, and by the proper people, because they did a lot of stuff. And if we can hold the chain of custody in place throughout all of it, no one can turn around. Oh no, well, you know, that could be you know, changed over from strip to, or nope. All our hands are off of it, because we've got an independent company that, you know, decided to you know, to be hired and can do the job that we're looking for them to do, just so that they can confirm exactly what you said, exactly what I said, exactly what Malika said, Amp Easy said, you know, everyone regarding the video surveillance footage, because, you know, there has been, the opposition out there that says, "Oh, what are you talking about? Edited footage? This is not edited footage. Everything is complete. Why are you people seeing other people's video and everything? It's a bunch of nonsense. Only idiots get. We already know whose opinion that is. And so I'd love to see that thing bounce right off the wall after we find out."
Exactly. And the more we take a look at the evidence and the more we start to tie in the pieces for this to make sense, we're getting there. We're moving. We're moving on this. We're moving on this. Let me get to another clip real quick, because this puts a hole in the whole investigation. Take a look at the same scene, a different content creator. I have questions. Because this is what you have to do in order to truly investigate a case. And get around you the content creators that are serious and focused with integrity to look at it seriously. So let's take a look. An excellent piece that I have questions had put out there early in the case. Here we have, I have questions identifying what we should see in this video clip, which is Kenneka's reflections bouncing off of stainless steel refrigerator doors. It's just one aspect of case investigation that they were able to prove. There were no reflections off those doors. Go to another piece. In this same area, identifying certain pixelations taking place in the East Kitchen before we see Kenneka. Pay careful attention. Pixelation before and after her body. As such as the information that Straight Drop and I talked about on that phone conversation. Once again, another video clip by I Have Questions. Same area. Careful attention to details indicates that this particular footage has been manipulated. Looking at this case in its entirety, this team has done a fantastic job. This is content. same area of contention. And now this particular clip is indicating a specific identification in an area that shows movement, but yet no physical, solid person is being revealed here. Pay careful attention to the pixelation. As Kenneka walks by. Incredible what they can pick up on the special equipment software that they use to identify this with. But you can see it with your own eyes now. And so I wanted to share that with you because this is what it takes to really get into the essence of the case. And when you can see it with your own eyes, and you notice I have questions, doesn't make commentaries, doesn't lead you, doesn't persuade you, tries to convince you, doesn't hit you with a pow stick in order for your eyes to tell you more of the truth of what you see rather than somebody else tell you the truth about what you see. And so they've done some incredible work. And my hat goes off to them and a host of good content creators. Look for the good content creators. And I guarantee you'll find more of the truth than you found on any other channel that's out there. You have to check them out. You have to check them out. And then you can decide and tell which information is right for this case and which information goes in the garbage. You get my point, right? Okay. All right. So with that said, I will conclude where we began. So that this way we have our focus, energy, with integrity to back us up, to follow the case in its entirety. We've talked about timelines, talked about Kenneka, witnesses. Tonight, we've really stressed physical evidence. We've talked about a lot pertaining to physical evidence in this case. We'll continue to talk a lot about the physical evidence of this case. And there are certain content creators out there like Hell of a Chick and Cassie Olvera and a new YouTuber I've come across. I think it's One Tube is Your Tube or One Tube is Our Tube. She's a lovely woman. And she does share with you a little bit about her health condition. She has sickle cell anemia that she has to deal with. And she's into this case, and she brings some very, very good case information and substance for investigation and review. Much love goes out to her for battling a health condition while she is giving of herself to find out what happened to Kenneka. Those are the kind of warriors and winners you want to align yourself with to stay focused and to do it with integrity, because they're about and all about getting justice for this case. John Q works with the very best that he can find to deliver to you information, evidence that'll only move this case in the direction that it needs to conclude at, and that is justice. I'm hoping that Teresa Martin, in her civil case, which is ongoing, when she wins gross negligence in this case, and which she will, I hope she turns around and takes a portion of whatever she's awarded and opens up a criminal investigation through the FBI, through the Attorney General's office, and the Crime Investigation Division in Chicago to take a look at the Rosemont Police Department's work on its case investigation and how botched up it was. Because there are some suspects that need to be re-questioned and that need to have written depositions. And I'll tell you who they are. I'll tell you who they are. Number one, Monifa. Number two, Shemaya. Number three, Mike. Number four, Cece. Number five, Smack. 6, Hollywood. 7, X. 8, Cocky. And I can keep going because there are still a few more. In my video series, I did share with you that information. It does align with 54 Keys. It does align with Mr. Jackie Dragon. Because as 54 Keys mentioned, Mike matters. And I'm not going to let Mike die in this case. Big shout out to Clark Avenue. I think he's done excellent work in this case as well. And that we were all not at the Crown Plaza Hotel walking around in different areas on September the 9th during the time Kenneka Jenkins apparently went missing and lost her life. Those are fairy tales, folks. Those are fairy tales. And those that are telling fairy tales like that are nothing but a bunch of clowns. And probably is working for somebody. Knows. Probably working for somebody. Telling you everything that somebody else is that they themselves may be. Just to stay alive on YouTube for views. You're not going to get that kind of nonsense on this channel, and you're not going to get that kind of nonsense on the content creator channels that I mentioned. That's for certain. And I thank God they exist. So let's keep our focus on the elements of a crime, put the pieces together, and let it make sense. It's got to make sense in order for it to be the truth. Facts, the only thing that'll make sense in this case. In any case, when we get to the truth, Teresa Martin will get to the truth. The family will get to the truth. They will have some kind of closure. But I hope they turn right around and reactivate this case. The new investigation, case pulled out for a re-examination. That's my hope and my prayer for the family. I'm feeling that's what they'll do. But we have to wait and see. We just got to wait and see. All right. Let me just grab some water over here. I know I've been talking. I'm going to come off screen share. I hope I was able to deliver tonight to you a new perspective, a different look, a careful look at some things that we may have not seen before. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm about. And out of all of you that still support my channel and are familiar with the content creators that I've mentioned, stick with them. Stick with them, hold fast, and stay strong with those content creators because they're leading us all. No one content creator has all the answers, but with us all together, the serious ones that are focused and that have some integrity about their work, we're the ones that'll move this case in getting the answers. I guarantee you that. And for those other channels out there that are just for entertainment purposes only, and those folks know who they are, and those people that go to those channels know who they are, you'll see the difference in the work. Just look at the work. Know who's serious about the work, and you'll know who's moving forward to the truth. That's all you need to do. That's all. Hey, Cole Pepsi. Hey, I just noticed you there. John Q, you hung in there with us. Yes, I hope and as well that justice is served for this beautiful. Changes, thanks, trust, and believe. Thank you, Iris. Thank you, 45CP. You know, when I come on here, I try to deliver. That's the only thing that I can possibly do is deliver. Amp Easy is still around. I've spoken to Amp Easy recently, and we're doing some things. He may be quiet, but he's still in motion. Amp Easy is the kind of guy like myself. We move in silence. That way we get our work done properly, carefully, with integrity. There was a lot that we discussed in reference to the video surveillance analysis report. We covered a lot of information there, and we're not done with that. We're not done. We're just getting started. That was just a warm up, because there's a whole lot more to look at. A whole lot more to look at. Thank you so much, John. God bless Connie Lockridge. Well, thank you. Yeah, Amp Easy's still in the fight. And those that are still active, the veterans that I've mentioned, are still active on the case. They're with us. They're with us in the fight. Everybody is sharing. Clark Avenue, Hell of a Chick, Our Tube Be Your Tube TV. I Have Questions is still on the beam. They've been quiet, but I know they're working. And I know 54 Keys is still watching and listening. She's still in this. And a host of others. We're still working together. Even though we're working separately, we're still working together. We're getting less and less noise, less and less drama happening. Thank goodness. We're able to get our work done in a better fashion, in a more timely fashion at that. So yeah, keep those things in mind that I shared with you tonight, because they do play a very critical element in the areas of this case. We don't have Kenneka all over the hotel and up in the air and in another hotel down the street in a swimming pool, at a discotheque, at a social club, underneath a car, on top of a bus, hanging off a bridge, or climbing a tree. It's far simpler than that. We know that. Thanks to Watch Out Squad for staying on the beam. Thanks to all content creators. Jackie's Concern is another content creator that's out there. She's doing it. Boss Blake is out there. He's still doing it. And all of the content creators that I've mentioned on this channel, they are out there still doing it. Because in their heart, they believe that justice will prevail in this. We just got a lot of side attractions going on, a lot of comedy, a lot of side acts going on. You know, I mean, they're going to exist, folks. They have nothing else better to do. They have nothing else better to do. So that's what they do. And the funniest thing is that they are revealing themselves right in front of us as to who they are every time they go live. Every time they go live, we know more about the truth about them than they're trying to tell us the truth about what happened to Kenneka. But they're stupid enough not to know that. Y'all get my drift? I know you do. They're stupid enough not to know that. What do they say? And I don't mean to get raw, but what do they say? You know, show your ass and your crack will follow. I think somebody's had more crack than they can follow. I don't know. It just seems that way. Boss Blake is in the house. Okay. My brother, he calls me the Godfather. Godfather Kenneka Jenkins. No, I am a father and I am a grandfather. I'm not the Godfather though. I mean, we're all playing important roles in this case, that's for sure. We're putting together the very best that our intellect can help us to find, our critical minds can help us to find, our logical minds can help us to find. From time to time, yes, you know, we will come across some funny business trying to put us in places that we haven't been, trying to tell other folks who we are, and all this other crazy, hypothetical, twisted, hallucination type language that they can muster up because they're running out of road. That's called content. Running out of road. That's all. So they got to tell us everything, anything, whatever you want to hear kind of stuff, especially around someone who's lost their life in the way that they did. That's what you really got to look at. They got the nerve to talk about someone who lost their life the way they did, and they're on YouTube doing lives revealing who they are. Yeah, That's what kind of mindset it takes. That's what kind of mindset they have. They can't help it. They can't help it. But yet it tells the truth. It tells us the truth. And the more they keep talking, the more truth we know about them. And so we'll compartmentalize them and put them in a compartment where they belong because we know that they're not serious and we can move on with our work. No matter how many times they try to attack us, no matter how many times or places they try to put us. Doesn't work. Hasn't worked and will not work because we're smarter than that. That's why I said intelligence plays a very important part in this case. People got it, and some people don't. We know which ones don't. Thank you, Cole Pepsi. Tanya Daniels. Wow, this room is still strong. My goodness. I really appreciate all of you still sticking with me. Still hanging in there with John Q. Well, you know, when I come on, I'm just here to share some important things. Not here to belabor anything. I'm not here to continue running video surveillance footage on you. I'm not here to put everybody in a hotel. I'll tell you that Jerry Walsh was in the lobby. Or tell you that hell of a chick was in the ladies' room around the corner from the front desk. Or Cassie was walking in from the southwest entrance, walking down the food court with her man. Or John Q hanging out in the security booth with the security guard. Or Clark Avenue have anything to do with Little Meat. And a host of other twisted things. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Connie. Thank you. But to all the content creators that have made a major contribution, my hat and love goes out to you. As always, I stand with you. I stand for you. And we'll push on. Because we're coming to a point. And that point is only going to be point at the truth. And the more we find and the more we stand on and the more we stand in the gap for, then we're not going to let no distractions tear us down, break us away, make us hate on each other. That happened early in the case. We've matured after 3 years and changed. Gotten past the kiddie park, playground issues that we used to have. We're full-grown adults. There are some of us that hold the line and act accordingly, and then there are some of us that still belong in the damn playground, playing, trying to play. Don't know what to play, but try to play. Well, not here. Not here. I'll take a few comments. Going to try to wrap it up. I want to thank Miss BBK, my moderator. I know that she's on a different time frame than I am here in New York. Much love goes out to BBK for moderating tonight. We always have a good session. It's as best as can possibly be done. No trolls, no drama. Because this area, this channel, only holds the important people looking for the truth. Oh, Tanya Daniels had to curse somebody else out on a video. Yes, Cole Pepsi. Some of these people are just looking for attention. They're not looking for justice. You're right. They hope this story never closes. They hope that there's no justice in this story. Miss Robin Hood says, between Amp, yourself, Chloe, you are the three smartest people I ever met. I don't care about content. Let's just get this one for baby girl. Get rest and rest easy. I hear you. I hear you. I'm just going on, just scrolling up to some of the comments that you guys made. I don't want to miss much because when I get rolling, I keep rolling. That's right, John Q. We might get a little tired, but never give up. Keep pushing forward. Cold Pepsi, I hear you. Marvin Atkins is in Pittsburgh, everybody. Absolutely. Absolutely. And what really motivates me, some of the content creators that join my chat while I'm live, that come in and give respect and show love and support what we're doing. And that right there keeps us going. Most definitely. Is 54 Keys going to continue on the case? BH says, is 54 Keys going to continue on the case? She is. She's on the case. I'm sure if 54 Keys comes across any information that she wants to share with us, she's put out enough content, believe me, to get the case open herself, my opinion. Far more than I. Very objective, very, very focused, and holds her work with integrity. God bless 54 Keys. And painting truth, even though she's not doing current casework on the case right now, but she's put out some great content on her channel when she was working on the case. Painting truth. Thank you for bringing that up. There's just so many good content creators out there that sometimes we can forget where good content is, even though a content creator may not be doing any current work. But it's out there. It's out there. I wanted to know if I forgot anything. I think I've covered just about what I needed to. I'm going to come back very soon. We still have to go over some key evidence, some key points in terms of some people that need to be carefully looked at in this case. But like I said, there are a good handful of people that need to be questioned, need to give signed depositions to their statements, especially Miss Cece, who was never interviewed by the Rosemont Police Department. That's another hole. Yet she was up and in and out and up and down that hotel that night. I'm sure if we knew anything from Bree, she could tell us a little bit more about Cece. But Bree is very smart. She's keeping her mouth closed. No snitch territory. Her action speaks louder than words when we take a look at the video surveillance footage now, doesn't it? I've been watching her. She has mad common sense. I hear you, Miss Robin. Yep, she does. She does. So, in winding down and coming to the conclusion of tonight's live, I hope you got something. I hope you paid careful attention to really begin paying more and more careful attention to the evidence and the content that's being put out. And don't spend your time, please, wasting your time with people that just have no heart, no compassion, no focus, no integrity about how they're handling this case. We are all responsible for the content that we put out. Every single one of us. If Teresa Martin one day, after she wins her civil case, decides to turn around and she pulls out a notebook, and on that notebook, she's got a list of people that's been on that list for quite some time doing her daughter's name wrong, I hope she takes the proper action and starts sending out court summonses and complaints and character defamation, a host of other violations against her name, her family name, and this case. I hope she does it. I'd stand right behind her. I would go to Chicago and get right behind her to do it. G Money, how you doing? Thank you. And as far as the hotel is concerned, well, we learned tonight that they're covering a liability, a major one. That's their revenue. All to protect the revenue. All to protect their partnership with the Murray Brothers Caddyshack restaurant. But as far as they're concerned, they have made and definitely violated more, I would say, laws in this case than any one case that I can remember. In a liability, gee whiz, it did a lot of things wrong here. Security, hotel management, staff, maintenance. I mean, wow. Police department, right up to the Cook County Medical Examiner's office. I mean, it stretches far and wide. I told you that this was multi-level. It's just not in one place. This was spread over time. This was definitely spread over time. People in cahoots. Well, thank you, G Money. Yes, I'm good. Thank you for asking. And I hope all is well with you and your family too. My family's doing good. Thank you for asking. Staying blessed, staying focused, doing God's will. That's what we're doing. So much love to everybody. We're going to wrap it up. I'll be back. I'll be back. Keep your eyes and ears open, folks. We're about to enter some very interesting times over the next couple of weeks. So once again, stay safe. Much love, and my heart goes out to every single one of you that shared this evening with me and continues to share in the hopes that we get justice for Kenneka, and we will. We will. We're working hard on it. We're still on it, and we'll remain on it. That said, be blessed. Stay well. With Godspeed, John Q. Good night, everybody.